Hello. Welcome. I'm excited tonight because it's finally time to talk about Carlsbad's two daughters, both founded in crime. But please, don't you cry, and I beg of you, don't moan. Unfortunately, tonight, I'm doing this one alone. And that's not what should have happened. This is what should have happened. Hey, I apologize. Papito couldn't be here, and I just got the only malfunctions we're going to have for the night out of the way so we can begin and get right into this. Let's go.
In South Carlsbad, across the highway from the Silver Spur restaurant, stands a bullet-scarred adobe house, the last remaining landmark of Little Phoenix, which about the turn of the century was a melting pot for the worst lot of outlaws, crooked lawmen, and prostitutes in the Southwest.
Wow. What powerful music. For those of you who do not have astute ears, that was a rough cut from some master tracks of the original recording of a hit song called Examples of How We Bend by Sabretooth Cavity, featuring Frankie on drums and Papito on bass. It's a thing of beauty, and I agree with Soy Teresa. It is my new favorite song. I love that one. I'll probably play it at the end of the show. I see her in the chat. Soy Teresa says thanks for the sick invite, something like that. And I just want to say, Cavemen News is open invitation. Pretty much anybody who wants to come on is invited to. And I say I'm doing the show alone tonight, but I do have one guest, and let's go to him now. Holy shit. Hold on. Okay. So there were two malfunctions tonight. Yes. Soy Teresa would have driven down from Otis. That's where she spends most of her time. It's kind of disgusting.
In South Carlsbad,
What the
across
hell?
the highway from the Silver Spur restaurant.
I didn't want that to happen, but it did. Welcome to the episode. Tonight we're going to be talking about, as I said in the opening, we're going to be talking about the two daughters of Carlsbad, the sister cities, daughter cities, breakaway cities that formed in the late 1800s. I never knew about this topic until we had a certain guest on. Her name is Brittany, and she just offhandedly said, "Oh, what about, I should have looked it up, but I don't remember what she said, but she mentioned Little Phoenix." And I thought, I've never heard of Little Phoenix. I have no idea what this is. And when I originally started researching this topic, I do a lot of research through newspapers.com. I look at the current Argus archives, and I was looking for Little Phoenix. What can I find? And I found two articles that had a lot of information. It was some really in-depth shit, but there was not a lot to go on. And I thought, wow, I'm doing this episode by myself about this extraordinary topic. I'm fascinated by it, but how can I do an entire episode by myself just going off of two articles from decades ago? How can I build this? How can it be done? But I have a little thing on my side called luck, and in doing this research, I happened to find that Phoenix is spelled with an E instead of an OE. So I was doing my searching all wrong. It was completely the wrong way about it. And once I figured out how the correct spelling of this city went, everything started coming together. And as is the case many times on this show, I ended up finding more information than I feel I can comfortably get through in an hour's time. I like to keep things about an hour. Pepito always tells me we should go longer, but I feel like it's overindulgence to go above an hour. That's a lot to ask for people to watch. But I'm going to try to get everything into an hour. So there's not much bullshit off the top this time. There's usually little games, little things we play. I put Pepito on the spot. I try to get him to interpret comics, things like that. And we just don't have time for that today. I say we get right into it and we start off. What is there to know about Phoenix? Let's start off right here. So let's learn a little bit about the history of the founding of Carlsbad. And I should have done this better, but I didn't print things out. And it says here, I'm just going to read this. According to a 1963 magazine article by Myers, Charles Eddy was resolved on planting an irrigated eddy here, only it wasn't to be irrigated with fire water. Eddy was a teetotaler, determined that the new town which he planned to serve his project should not be vexed by the saloons so common to frontier city communities. Whatever. So the basic fact is Eddy, the man who founded Eddy County, was a bit of a prude. He hated liquor. And I'm not going to read the rest of this verbatim. I'm just going to tell you that it says that the man who founded Carlsbad, originally known as Eddy, was he found liquor to be abhorrent. So he even put into the bylaws of the city that if you served or made liquor on your property, that the city could just straight up take your property, your the building, whatever you have from you. And that didn't rub people the right way. They kind of thought that that was, as they say, fucked up. So, as a solution to this, because everybody knew you have this frontier town, it can't just be full of squares. There has to be more going on. There has to be a rebel element to the city. And there was. Dating back to the earliest foundings of the city, we have always been a community that was not afraid of being mischievous. It says here, not to be outdone, they went outside the town site and founded Phenix, which I knew about from Brittany. She told me all about it. Phenix, as it says on my shirt. And they also founded Lone Wolf, which is something I just found out about a few days ago. It's incredible how much our elders failed to let us know about the wild history of the town that we all live in currently and love, Carlsbad, New Mexico. But it says here, crude business houses were set up and gambling parlors, houses of vice, steamy saloons, and boisterous dance halls flourished unmolested. An early day sheriff, Dave Kemp, was a partner in a gambling saloon and a gambling parlor. And that's wild to me because I say wild. It's not surprising to me that the law of this city would also be a founder in some of the biggest vice of the city and creating the problem that they were there to solve. I just realized, if you'll excuse me, that I forgot to light the incense. This is what happens when Pepito is not here. So I need to light my incense for the night. And okay, we're on the way. We're getting a really good scent out here. I'm going a million miles an hour tonight because I am unleashed. There's nobody here but me to steer this ship, and I feel overwhelmed by how much material I have found about this specific topic. So I am just going a million miles an hour. But as I was saying, I'm not surprised that a sheriff would be also a founder of one of the seedier crime elements that they are there to combat. But I am shocked about how blatant it was. And that Sheriff Dave Kemp, I think I need to do some more researching. I feel like we could talk a lot about Dave Kemp, and I feel like there's more. That's one person from this episode that I feel we will be returning to once I am able to research further. Let's talk. Okay, I have next. It says here to press the B button on my keyboard. It says Eddie at the time had two sisters. And it says sisters, but I like calling them daughters because they sprung off from Carlsbad City. So I don't think of the offspring as being sisters, but hey, I'm not a newspaper writer. I leave that to the current Argus. But they say that Eddie had, at the time, two sisters, both of them bad. Phoenix was a rendezvous for rowdies and outlaws. The other town, also inhabited by the undesirables, was Lone Wolf, located on the old road to Roswell, on a site which is now Smith Park. And I looked into that, and for all of you watching from Carlsbad, Smith Park is that park right next to PR Leva. So I'm thinking that Lone Wolf probably stretched and included the PR Leva area itself because we'll get into it, but there were 600 people who lived in Lone Wolf. So it was probably bigger than the park. And it says Phoenix. Oh, here we go. Phoenix had a population of 900 people, and Lone Wolf had about 600. Their, good God, chief industries were liquor, women, and gambling. Killings were numerous. And maybe I'm just a modern man, but I want to make a stand here and say I do not believe women are an industry. That's the brave stance Cavemen News is taking. I just heard a noise, and I think our guest for the night, Cobra, heard it as well. Cobra, he never, I don't, astute viewers of this show will know that Cobra never faces the camera. He is such a, well, I don't want to use the word, but he's a tease. He will not look down the barrel of the camera, which he should. He's a very handsome boy. I wish that he would. So that is that. Well, let's go on to this one. This is Phoenix. So 1 mile south of downtown Eddy, an enterprising group of liquor lords set up camp. Most of the buildings were ramshackle, flimsy, flyaway. My eyes are going to get better, I swear. I'm in the process of getting eye upgrades, and I'm going to be reading. You're going to be watching this show in weeks from now, and you're going to say, I remember a time when this guy could not read anything in front of his face, and it was an embarrassment to the town, and it was depressing to see. But those times are not long for this world. I'm going to be reading everything. It's all going to be so good. And as I was saying, flyaway numbers, not like the old Adobe building, which still stands just across the highway from Motel Stevens. So Motel Stevens is where Phoenix was mostly centered around. That area is the area where Phoenix was set up by these liquor lords. Surprisingly, Phoenix was surveyed. That seems boring to me. I can't remember thinking that was interesting. So I'm going to move on. Oh, wait. That was the wrong button. Okay. So that's a third mess up for the show, which I think is normal. It's completely natural for somebody to mess up that many times. There's nothing alarming here. There's nothing, you don't need to write your congressman or anything. We are still the number one news source out of Carlsbad, New Mexico, where we are headquartered. I can't blame that one on my eyes. That was just my brain malfunctioning. Here. Okay, now we have this one. This is introducing a new character to the story and a piece of Carlsbad history that I feel I did not have enough time to fully get into. I just learned a little bit and I was taken back by what a wild story this man must have had. H.A. Bennett, owner of the Legal Tender and mayor of Phoenix, left on Tuesday's train for his old house in San Angelo, Texas. Harry goes to attend, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a fuck what he went to attend? But the important part is here we have a mayor of Little Phoenix. So this offshoot of the town where the outlaws left the town and established their own city. When I first heard about I keep calling it Little Phoenix because that's what I was first introduced to it as. But it is more than that. It is simply called Phoenix. That was the name of the town. And I just thought it was a little encampment of rogue outlaws who were just trying to escape the puritanical iron fist of Carlsbad. But it turns out they had their own, not only their own community, they had a mayor. And the mayor was this man, H.A. Bennett, who owned a liquor parlor. It was a liquor company and a liquor parlor, and it was called the Legal Tender. I really think somebody should bring that back. Maybe with a few investors, I can reopen the legal tender. I think it would be great. But H.A. Bennett was the owner of the legal tender and mayor of Little Phoenix. And let's look at some stuff by the legal tender. I love this one. This is just an advertisement that ran in the current Argus. I think it was called the Eddie Argus at the time. But this ad ran in 1892. And it was, just saying, hey, this is where you can come get your liquor since you can't get it anywhere else in Carlsbad. This is the spot for it. I like that ad, but I really like this one. No. What the hell? Okay. This one. Call at the legal tender and get a glass of beer so cold that you will think your teeth are out of it. That's just a bold claim. That sounds like a good time. I mean, what the hell else would you be doing in 1892? There wasn't a lot going on.
Hijo de la.
Golly. I thought Pepito was here. All of a sudden that sound drop played and I heard his voice. I was like, wait a second. He said he couldn't be here. He said I was going to have to fly alone and cover this broad topic all by myself. And for a second there, I thought I was saved and people weren't going to be subjected entirely to my rambling. But alas, it was a sound alert. It was a troll in the chat, and we love our trolls. So I love that as well as the trolls. And I'm going to get through this so that we can watch some videos because somebody told me recently that my portion, at least, of the Caveman News show is like a book report. And I think they said that to hurt me, but I take pride in that. I do enjoy book reports, even though school is for nerds and those that are lame. I still think that this can be a very educational. Yeah, it says here, Soy Trees in the chat says, surprisingly, it wasn't me that said that. And yeah, that is a big surprise because that sounds like something that she would say. She didn't say this one. I'm going to keep going and get to some videos because I threw some on there because I knew nobody wants to hear me just ramble for an hour at a time. What are we looking at? We're looking at 27 minutes here. This is untenable. I say that word a lot lately, and I think it's just because so many things in this world and the world that I surround myself with are untenable and very close to breaking down and fully falling into chaos because they are. Let's look at this. Oh, this is nice. I enjoyed this one. Oh no. What the hell was that sound? I just heard a weird sound. I've been hearing weird things lately. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the veil of reality is getting looser and looser by the day. Okay, I'm going to try to step over here so that I can keep myself on screen, but I will have to lean in to read this one. It says, because this is one that I think needs to be read. I should have printed this out. And so Eddyites and travelers creating gangs of construction workers, ranchers, and cowboys all flocked to the western Oz of drinking, prostitution, and gambling. So I'll just say right there that it's a damn shame those cities don't exist anymore because that sounds like a blast. There was even a 2-horse hack, which I looked up, and that just means a horse. A hack is a horse that can carry people. It's a conveyance. That's basically what they mean. A horse that pulls a carriage, that type thing. There was even a 2-horse hack that made the run between Eddie and Jagtown, which this is something I forgot to mention. Phoenix had 3 names. There was Phoenix, Jagtown, and Hagerman, which Hagerman seems so odd. I have no idea why it was called that. But there's a 2-horse hack that would run between Eddie and Phoenix. It says Jagtown, as Phoenix was called by the Eddie Press. However, big poker winners headed home just didn't get there, according to one chuckling old timer here. And now we have a rhyme. I had to include that because one of the foundations of caveman news is the rhyme. Told all the time. People tell me after the Pepito segments, the rhymes are the best part of the show, which that might be an insult. Maybe they're saying that all you need to watch are the first few seconds of caveman news and you get the point. Maybe that's what they mean. But it says, Bob Ingersoll says there is no hell, but the time will come when he'll take it all back if he ever eats of a Pecos woman's cooking or rides to Jagtown on Allender's back. Eddie Argus, July 30th, 1892. So a little disparaging of local Carlsbad women. That's a good rhyme. I enjoyed it, I suppose. Okay. Now we have this. Famous outlaws. Good gosh, Ma. That was Clyde Barrow. I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't think it matters how you pronounce it. I think it's open to interpretation. Because Clyde wasn't the important one. The important was Bonnie Parker, who spent the night here, and they've kidnapped Joe Johns, which is interesting to me because I've heard some tall tales about Phoenix, and people say it was this and this, and they make exaggerations and all of these things. And when I first heard about that, I was like, one, I don't know who Joe Johns is. Two, I highly doubt that Bonnie and Clyde, two of the biggest outlaws in American folklore, I doubt they came to Carlsbad, but I did find out that they did, and they did kidnap the deputy sheriff of the city of Eddy at the time. And I thought there was so much more that we could get into with that, but that seems like a different episode. The deputy sheriff being kidnapped by Bonnie and Clyde, that's too much. We're at peak me rambling. So I don't know if this episode could take that. So for a future episode, possibly. But it says here, at an age when most people are living in the past, Mrs. Calson dreams of turning this adobe into a home sweet home tourist court. So yeah, she wanted to turn the last remaining house in Phoenix into a tourist thing. She wanted everybody to go visit and see all the outlaw ruins and things like this. And is that all I need to read? Well, it says here, maybe someday somebody will help me do this, she says, as she rocks quietly in a room where Billy the Kid drank liquor. Uh, Whatever. I can't read this. This is too small, this print, but whatever. She claims that Billy the Kid was around in Phoenix. I keep wanting to call it Little Phoenix, and I apologize for that. Maybe actually, let's see. I think I have something for that. Let's make this go away, and let's do this. Okay. So I apologize for repeatedly calling it Little Phoenix when everybody at this point we're all comfortable knowing that the proper name for the town that Carlsbad spawned, one of the towns Carlsbad spawned, was Little Phoenix.
Give me some time. I promise I'll get smarter.
Betting against the odds of tomorrow. Yes, absolutely. I don't like to do apologies, but I did one there. And on behalf of Phoenix. But basically, yes, I was just saying that I don't need to read all of that. Who cares? The point is this woman who owns the last standing adobe house in Phoenix says that Billy the Kid drank there and everything, which, wow, I mean, that makes it even more historical. But I did read something in my research that said that Billy the Kid was never there in Phoenix, and the time that they say he was there was 10 years after he died. So who knows? He that could be an exaggeration. He might have never stepped foot in there, but it's worth noting that possibly he was there. And speaking of falsities, this was something else. When Brittany first told me about Phoenix, she called it Little Phoenix. No offense to her. She doesn't have to come on the show to apologize unless she wants to for getting the name wrong. But one of the things she told me was that it was called Little Phoenix, and I did the initial research, and the first thing I saw said that Phoenix had a tunnel that went from somewhere, the Stevens Inn or something, into Phoenix, and it was a tunnel for married men to go down there so that they could meet up with all the prostitutes of Phoenix and enjoy that lifestyle without their wives being any the wiser. And that sounds great to me. I'm a huge tunnel head. I am fascinated by the idea. I think one of my favorite stories is El Chapo escaping from jail in a tunnel on a motorcycle. Remember that? Golly, that was cool. But according to this, the tunnel was yes. So this story basically just tells that the tunnel was an exaggeration and wasn't real, and most of the men who frequented Phoenix didn't give a shit what their wives knew or thought, or they didn't have wives in the first place. So probably not true, but golly, that's a great story, and I wish they would have sat us around the campfire as young Carlsbadians and told us this tale. I will say really quick that all of these snippets of news I've started putting them up on cavemennews.com, and you can go and look at each episode and see the articles and have links to the stories and the dates of when they were printed, so that if you're interested in this stuff, and I don't see how you could not be. Yes. All of that is going to be there to guide further research, because God knows we all love researching. And as Soy Teresa in the chat pointed out, carlsbaddies is the appropriate term. Let's check in really quick and see how Cobra is doing. I think I bored him. But we're almost through the long, rambling. Jeez Louise, this has been 40 minutes. I was telling Pepito, by the time I get through rambling about all the research I did, it's going to be a 3-hour episode. And Pepito says, yeah, he talked some shit to me and said, yeah, I've been wanting to go longer. And then when I'm not there, that's when you're going to go long. But he was just playing. I'm not really going to go 3 hours. I'm going to get this all in a clean 1 hour chunk. It's going to be miraculous. But I had two last things I wanted to get to. And there was a time in the Eddie Argus, which became the current Argus that we all know and love, that the mayor of Phoenix, H.A. Bennett, as discussed, the liquor magnate. I really want to research more of him. I feel like there's got to be a huge story there. I wonder what happened to him post his mayorship of Phoenix. But there was a time when Phoenix had its own little section in the newspaper where they would just talk about things that were relevant to them in the rowdy ass town of Phoenix. And I liked this. This was from there. Let's see. Okay. I couldn't tell my handwriting from here. All right. So I'm going to have to bend down to see this. I'm going to have to obscure my face here. We have traveled up and down the valley and all over it, and still we think that Phoenix is the cleanest and most comfortable place in it. O ye Eddyites, when you are worn out, tired, and thirsty, and yearning for a cool spot and a brief rest, come to Phoenix and get a breeze. A little nonsense now and then is relished by the best of men. And God damn, that's a great sentiment. I feel that is something that we have lost, and Carlsbad has experienced a lot of growth in the last 120 years, whatever it's been, 130, let's say, since 1890s. That was that little snippet. Yes, came out in 1892. And while Carlsbad has experienced a lot of growth, we're really getting away from the respite that was provided by having a town of outlaws and a town of vice. And I think that it's really damaging, and I want to bring it back. I think that Carlsbad needs our daughter cities of Phoenix and Lone Wolf to once again carry us across this frontier that we all sit on today. That's just what I think. My last piece of newspaper boringness is this one. I didn't know for many years that Carlsbad, New Mexico had its own baseball team, the Carlsbad Potashers, I think it was one of the lowest levels of the minor leagues. And I was fascinated to learn that. I thought, how cool. I've looked up pictures of the Potashers baseball team and looked at their uniforms. I've contemplated many times making my own version of the Potashers jersey because that's some real Carlsbad pride. But I have to say, what would be even better than that is we are glad to learn that there will be an excursion from El Paso to Eddy by the baseball team of that place. We are more than pleased to learn that one game will be played on our fine grounds here. And I should specify, this was written in the Phoenix portion of the newspaper. So they're saying that the Carlsbad baseball team is going to play the El Paso baseball team in Phoenix, the town of Vice. And it says Mr. C. F. McDonough, manager, and H.A. Bennett, captain of our local team, our local 9, together with all our businessmen and citizens, will extend a hearty welcome to the two teams and will try to make things as pleasant as possible for them. How amazing is that? Our little town offshoot of Outlaws had their own baseball team. I need to do some further research, figure out if they had a team name, because imagine having a Phoenix, New Mexico baseball team jersey. That would be incredible. I would wear it very frequently. I almost said I would wear it every day, but I wouldn't because I am a hygienic man and I would have to do laundry every now and then. But I would wear it very often. Now, as promised, I'm not going to spend this entire show just recounting to you the amazing tale of our two sister cities, Phoenix and Lone Wolf. I did put together a few videos for us to watch, and I haven't watched these at all, but I just looked at YouTube for New Mexico videos about tunnels and things because I was fascinated by the tunnel aspect of this tale, even if the tunnel wasn't real. So I want to watch some of that. Let's do it.
Good afternoon. Here's a weird one. A homeless New Mexico man is living in a tunnel. He made
That's not
himself
weird.
right near a public park. And the city where he's dug this intricate home in the ground can't do anything about it.
Good.
Mr. Alson
They
Martinez
shouldn't.
has the story from Clovis.
8 feet underground
Dig your house underground, you'll always have a home.
Hell
I think
yeah.
it's sweet.
is where
That
Sean
is
Heron
sweet.
lives.
That rules.
Dude made a bed. There's his closet.
He decided to get some peace and quiet by living where the sun doesn't shine.
You should
That's
show them your
awesome.
house. That's pretty cool.
Heron didn't want to be on camera,
Go
but says
away.
he's been homeless for a year. But it wasn't until recently that his hideout was discovered by someone who posted a tour on Facebook.
Leave him
There's
alone.
his tools where he's been digging.
The underground tunnel has drawers, closets, a bed, and more. All
God,
of this
that's
just
so
behind
awesome.
Beecham Field in Clovis. And it has many people wondering how long he's been living there.
Who cares? It's not your business.
Wow.
Joyner lives across the street.
He's a
from the
hero. He should
underground
be
fortress,
celebrated.
And when she found out he was living there, she says shocked was an understatement.
Kids be out here. You know, this is a park.
So what?
Beecham Field. They play baseball. All kind of kids be in the park. Toddlers. That's. What if he attack? What if
What?
he decide to come across the street to my house?
With concerns
Okay.
arising,
I hate it. I don't support that. I think that is very ignorant and messed up. This next one, and for that reason, I'm going to stop watching that because I don't want to hear people disparaging a great inventive man who found a way to make a tunnel for himself. We should be applauding him. We should not be putting him on the news and fear mongering about him. That's as they say, messed up, messed up, messed up, messed up, messed up. Truly. Okay, this next one is called Hidden Dangers Lurk in Albuquerque Tunnels. Whoops, wrong button. Wrong button again.
It's a dangerous and downright creepy side of Albuquerque most people never see. It's under the city that serves as a hangout for teens and troublemakers and as a home for the homeless. Tonight, News 13's Alex Goldsmith takes you into the tunnels of Albuquerque.
Wait, I'm seeing here in the chat, Soy Teresa says I synced it. Will you elaborate in the chat? I would love to hear more. I don't think that I've actually seen it. I've seen some underground areas of Albuquerque, but I feel like the tunnels as described. Yeah. Okay. It says here in the chat that Soy Teresa says it's an extension of hell, and hell is a tunnel not far from the temple where the coolest people in Albuquerque all used to live at various points in their lives. And I should have had that queued up. I should have had a hell tunnel video because I have a few. And there is some great graffiti down there. But yes, I suppose these tunnels that they're speaking of are an extension of the hell tunnel near the temple in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But I want to see more. I haven't watched any of this. This is all, I just saw the title and I was like, yeah, that's one to throw on here. This will be a break for me rambling. And yet I paused it and I rambled anyway. Golly, I have a sickness.
It's the road truly less traveled, a muddy channel filled with weeds and trash that runs through the heart of Albuquerque. Homeless camps lie beneath the bridges that crisscross the canal, but there are greater dangers out of sight.
Don't call homeless camps dangerous.
Left their mark here, and that has the group in charge of maintaining these flood tunnels worried.
It can be raining
Why?
5, 6, 7 miles from here, and maybe even be clear here, and you'll get water flowing through this channel.
This tunnel runs about a quarter mile underneath Jefferson. Graffiti pretty much the whole way. Much of it.
Had I fully planned ahead. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm being told that I should turn it up, and I can do that. Back in the day, it would be very hard for us to adjust the volume on the fly, but we've become so proficient at this show. I remind you that this is the perfect month. All the episodes this month are perfect. So I can and did turn up the volume. But before we return, I just want to mention he talked about the dangers and water filling the tunnel there. I think it was the first time I went into the aforementioned hell tunnel near the temple in Albuquerque. We went down exploring. It was me, Kirby, and I think Pepito was there. And they hung out at the entrance, and I went to see how far down into the darkness I could go, checking out all the graffiti as I went. And at one point, all of a sudden, I heard a loud noise, and the entire tunnel started filling up with water. And I have a video somewhere where I am running out of the place, and I think the water was up to almost my waist by the time I got to the entrance where Pepito and Kirby were waiting for me. It was pretty cool. I should have thought ahead and got a video ready, but you know what? I didn't. So let's go back to the video. Do I have it ready? I need to zoom out a little bit. Okay.
Here, there's no way you'll be able to see the storm.
Let me know if the
Last
volume
month, a
needs to
man
go
was
up any
swept
higher.
through here during a storm. That same day, a teen girl was pulled from the rushing waters.
Don't let go yet.
Just before she reached the tunnels.
Even though that she probably knew better, she was still in and around the channel and got pulled into it.
This is far from the most dangerous spot. Halfway up the Embudo Arroyo is a much more cramped space. Right now we're underneath I-40, right?
Yes. This is the worst possible space because it's an enclosed environment. You don't see what's going on above you.
But kids still keep coming here. We found some toys in the bottom of the arroyo during our tour. Flood control officials say parents need to wake up.
Wake up. I just trying to remember some of the graffiti in the Hell Tunnel. I think my favorite was the one that said Hail Satin. It was very cool.
Find another alternative place to play. Your children deserve that.
Alex Goldsmith.
Please be careful on the channel and stay out of it, okay?
KRQE News 13.
My mic was off. I was just saying that it is fun down there. Let me check on our time. Wow, 56 minutes. Let's go for one more video before... Actually, let's go two. But which videos? I have... Let's see. Let's go with... Ooh, I'm interested in this one. A look at the secret tunnel under the Sunport. Which, for those of you who are ignorant, that is the airport in Albuquerque. And I hit the wrong button again. But that's not a mess up.
Thousands of people have walked over it for decades without any clue of its existence. There's a secret tunnel buried below the Albuquerque Sunport with a special link to the airport's past. News 13's Jessica Salinas got an inside look
very
and
pumped.
has more on why that tunnel is still there.
Because it's badass, I'm sure.
We are in the famous tunnel under the Sunport.
A tunnel that was first used by passengers nearly 60 years ago, but has been sitting quiet since the 80s.
It is massive. This place is really big.
Now just used for maintenance, the Albuquerque
Cavemen
Sunport
News
Tunnel
needs to
first
broadcast
opened
from
in
there.
1965.
I'm putting it on
The
my
main way that you would get
wish
out
list.
to the airfield, you'd go under the tunnel, come up the stairs, and then you'd be at the satellite building that was out there to board your plane.
With 2 areas allowing for artisans
Wow.
to sell jewelry and
Beautiful.
pottery. The football field-length tunnel can be seen in this picture where the black stripe is. For decades, it connected 2 separate terminal buildings that the Sunport is since built over.
So if you
Why?
can picture walking essentially from like baggage claim or the Great Hall to down in a tunnel all the way to, and then coming out to a building where the Dream of Flight statue is.
The tunnel still houses 16 mosaics made of thousands of 1-inch squares.
Beautiful.
Millions of people walk through these halls. People grew up saying stories about how they would run their hands along the wall of the tiles.
Half of the murals are now partially covered with various utility installations. As for part of the history, the Sunport says they don't know who made the murals or what they mean.
It's
What?
likely that the architectural firm that did this at the time put it together. They are of native influence.
How can you not
But
know?
we don't think that they were done by native artists.
For now, there are no plans to remove the murals.
We definitely want to
There
pay
better
homage
not
to
be.
this amazing piece of our
Jesus.
history that the future generation and the current generation maybe doesn't even know about, but look at this. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Jessica Salinas, KRQE News 13.
I was
The Sunport
just
says its current terminal
reading
remodeling project will
about
not have any
the
impact on that tunnel.
about Göbekli Tepe in Turkey and how, you know, it's one of the oldest remnants of a civilization, a city, a community. And basically, I was reading that only 5% of it has been excavated and explored, and there are no plans to do further exploring. That's just crazy to me. And it's wild to think that there's this treasure underneath the airport that we didn't even know about, or I didn't know about. And if you did know about it, you're kind of messed up for not telling me. And Soy Teresa in the chat says you start half your sentences with Göbekli Tepe these days. And it's true. And I feel that I should. Let's watch one more video before we close things out. Why not? But which video? I have two that were just recently uploaded that were relating to Carlsbad, but I'm in a underground tunnel type of mood, so I think I'm going to stick with that. Let's go with this one that says hunters have unique encounter in the Taos Mountains. Sell me
Was
on
it a close encounter of the alien kind in the Taos Mountains? Two New Mexico hunters are still trying to make sense of what they saw. Here's News 13's Francesca Washington.
A rare sighting in the Taos Mountains.
We called it the mothership.
Turned an
What?
opening day hunt for elk
I was hoping to take you away, but I wasn't that lucky.
into something out
Oh,
of
he's funny. This guy's a funny
We're on the hunt
hunter.
for aliens.
Bow hunters Josh Brinkley and Daniel Lucero say they were hunting on Pot Mountain when they encountered what they believe were extraterrestrial beings.
They definitely look more like spacemen than like ET looking aliens.
Brinkley says the
What?
first day of the hunt, he spotted what he thought were two hunters.
We have little shapes on the right and left side of them, oversized heads, kind of black torsos.
The next day, both men came across what looked like a movie set.
I thought it was like a base camp, maybe? Catering?
As they drove closer to the 100-foot-long structure,
And the road just dipped down a little bit for a couple seconds, gone.
There's no way a trailer or a truck pulled it away, or it doesn't just disappear like that.
their movie set theory quickly changed.
What better place to land an alien spacecraft than out here, right?
The men say the experience has opened their eyes and changed their beliefs about aliens.
It actually happened to a couple guys that really don't believe in much.
Francesca Washington, KRQE News 13.
Okay, that one
Now, the
wasn't
hunters did report the sighting to
great
the
to
National
me.
UFO Reporting Center.
I'm pretty sure I only found that video by searching New Mexico and tunnels or New Mexico and underground, and that didn't pan out. I am disappointed. I thought maybe the aliens were going to be found in a tunnel or an underground pit or something like that. I think they must have lied in the description on the video to trick kind souls like me into looking at it. And that's a bad thing. That is not good at all. Okay, I accidentally flipped my page and I forgot my button. As I'm saying, we need to close this out. It has been 1 hour and 3 minutes. So a little over the projected time that I wanted to go. I wanted to keep it to a clean hour. But we survived. We made it through. We learned a lot about Phoenix and Lone Wolf. And I think that the official position of the show. I don't want to speak for Pepito, but I believe it is 2025. We're bringing both cities back, and it's going to be a new dawn for Carlsbad once we gather all of our outlaws once again to take the town back. So, thank everybody for watching, or I thank everybody for watching. Our next Caveman News episode, things are kind of up in the air. We've had the Tuesday show, which alternates between the Leopard Lounge, where it's very laid back and lethargy looms. It is our relaxed show. Not as intricate as this one. Oh my god. I love the Pepito Big Sip drop. And that was played by Soy Teresa. Yes, I got interrupted by the big sip of Pepito, and it was dearly missed on this episode. Pepito, please come back. I need somebody to talk to. There are things I wanted to get into on this episode, and I thought, no, I'm gonna wait until Pepito is here because it would be better to get his reactions to these types of things. So I'm keeping some things in my pocket. But as I say, our Tuesday show, which alternates between the Leopard Lounge, the Laid Back show, and our Ghost of Clown School show, the art discussion, interview with artists when they show up, that type of thing, that is kind of on a hiatus at the moment as my new work schedule is being decided and all these things, all the technical bullshit. But the important thing to note is that Caveman News is going to be every Sunday night from here on out. And the next episode is going to be episode 27 next Sunday. The topic is monster trucks. I'm excited for that one. I have so much to learn. I've been just stuck in this web of Phoenix and Lone Wolf. I'm ready to clear the mind and read as much as I can about monster trucks. And that one's going to be great. And then the week after that, we close out the perfect month with the perfect episode, part 2. I am so excited for that one. I believe it's going to be great. I think that's all I want to say for this episode. I will say this. Jesus, we got a sound drop from Pepito in the chat. Thank you for joining us, Pepito. I wish you were here. It's really not the same without you. It's kind of disgusting. But I get sidetracked a lot. I think it's old man brain. That's what happens to me. But one thing I thought I would do really quick, since I have my notebook here where I write out the script, everything I'm going to follow for the show, and it just so happens I was doing a little doodling the other day, and I made a drawing of Billy the Kid as a classical statue bust. And this was made right before reading that supposedly Billy the Kid frequented or visited at least Phoenix. So I'll hold that up really quick. Let me figure out how to do that. Yeah, so that's the drawing I did before I read that Billy the Kid inhabited or visited the place that we were going to talk about tonight. That's just, I'm very lucky that way. Well, thank you. Here we go.
So good!
Golly. That's a great way to end the show. So I'm going to do it there. Pepito should be back next week. And I will see all of you then. Goodbye.
In South Carlsbad, across the highway from the Silver Spur restaurant, stands a bullet-scarred adobe house, the last remaining landmark of Little Phoenix, which about the turn of the century was a melting pot for the worst lot of outlaws, crooked lawmen, and prostitutes in the Southwest.